Hi, okay guys, so I'd like to welcome you back to part 3 where we are building our side-scrolling game. Now, before we begin, I just want to make a note of a few things that's happened sort of in between here. So as you can see, the scene is considerably darker, especially when you look around, and this is because what I ultimately did is gone to the world settings and I've gone ahead and reset all these settings back to its default value. And the way you can do that is if you look at the side of these values right here, you see this little yellow icon here, this little arrow. And if you click this at the side of any of these values, then this will reset back to default, with the exception here that I've made of the environment boost here and the actual color. So what I've done is I've decreased the color here and kept the environment boost to 5. So this is giving us a much darker feel. And ultimately in the end, we will most likely probably change a lot of these settings anyway. But this is just for the purposes of me building this up so we can get a better idea of where we're headed. Now, I also want you to note that on the side panels here, it's a slightly a little bit different. Okay, and the reason being is I had noticed that when we had multiplied the ambient occlusion by the actual value of these panels, that this section right here in the center was much lighter, and the reason was that our ambient occlusion wasn't particularly too well baked. We had the ambient here inside these areas, but not really along the side. So I had gone ahead and I had rebaked that. So we can see here along the sides now that we have this darker area. Okay. Now all I did for that is instead of actually rebaking the ambient occlusion, I actually just used undo 2 in order to generate a new one, and that did a pretty good job for this mesh here. Okay, now the other thing I also did is I scaled the panels again. I believe I reduced them by about 10% in overall size. So as I played around with those values there. So what we're going to do in this video is we're going to go ahead and build up the floor panels. Now, I do have a reference for the floor panels, much like this, that we're going to be working off. However, it's going to be slightly different. So I'll show you why in a minute. So let me just go back to Max here, and I want to open up our sci-fi panels back up. And let's see. So this is the actual shape, the final size we used here. Now, if I go ahead and I duplicate this, so I just pull a copy of these out, and this is what we're going to do. We're actually going to duplicate this like so, and ultimately what we want to do is line this up. Okay, so let's go turn the angle snap off, turn the snapping on, and we're just going to snap this to here. So this is essentially what we'd have in terms of the floor panel. Now, we will have a problem here. As you can see, that as the camera to the side-scrolling game is around about here, that while we will see the floor, we will not see the actual side or the front part that will be facing us. So what we need to do is, or what we're going to do is model out a section right here too. Okay, so let me just jump to the references I have. So I have collected a new reference. So we're going to be building something like this. As you can see, if we jump over here, we already have this whitish effect going on for our side panels. So this is fine. This is exactly how I want this to look. Now we're going to build this or something similar to this, and what we'll do is on the side we'll have a sort of overhang that drops down. So when we're on the side here, we can see where this will drop down, and where that will be is we will have maybe some sort of piping system or something along those lines that will give this a little bit more of a visual interest. So what we can do is we can create some panels with that and some panels without that, and add some variety. And we can also do that with these panels here. If we simply go ahead and edit the textures, we can edit out these lights, for example, and this will give us two different panels that we can use through and through. Now we can also go ahead and build those side things here, like little pillars that will break up the modularity of the overall scene. But that's something that we'll probably look at a little bit further as we move forward. So what I want to do is we want to go ahead and start building our sci-fi panel. Now, if I go to the unwrap UVW, so let's go to unwrap and open it, you can see that we already have this UV. Now we're actually going to be editing this as the base mesh. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and delete this, and I'm going to go to UV, and we have an option that says UV map clear, and this will remove all the UV information. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm also going to reset the pivot point. As I said, this is going to be the base here. So let's select this, choose hide selection, and let's get going with building the high poly mesh here. Okay, so if we look at our reference and let's decide what we're going to add. So I think I'll add this section here in the center, and instead of having this sort of blackish area right here, we will duplicate this middle section. So that looks to be maybe about something we want here. So if we look at this, we need to go around this direction. So let's convert this to an edgewise poly, and let's go to connect, and we're going to choose to use 2 here. Let's increase the amount to, let's see, we'll try 60. Yeah, about 60 looks fine. I'm going to set these 2. I'm going to go to ring, choose connect, and we only want 1. Let's set this down to 0 and press OK. And let's just look at this. And what we'll do is we'll go ahead, set this to 2, and we'll go ahead and choose 60 here. There we go. So we have this basic shape. Now I do like that pattern in the center, so let's go ahead and look at how we can add that. So I'm going to go ahead, choose connect. Yeah, 60 will be fine. Choose connect again, and this time we're only going to go to the center. And let's take these and these, scale these out to about here. Okay, and we'll have these little smaller pieces. So in this case, I'm actually going to pull this into about, maybe, let's try about 40. Oops, -5, sorry. Yeah, about -5. Maybe less. Let's try -20. Something along those lines might do. Nope. -30 maybe. Okay, so maybe around -30. And we'll take these, we'll ring them, connect. So it's to 1. And we need to bring this in. And we'll do -60. Okay. Then we can go ahead, take this and this, scale that. There we go. Okay, so we have this created, and what we need to do now is let's go ahead and add a connect right here, right in the center. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and select all of the edges what is going to be chamfer. Does that go all the way across? Yeah, it does. Okay, so we'll double click here, select this, this, and this. And let's have a look. Okay, so we need to go here. So let's double click this, double click here, here, here. Let's take these two. And let's go to perspective. And let's go ahead, right click, let's choose extrude. Extrude this in. Let's pull this out and pull this down. One of these lines. Let's just double check this. Okay, instead what we'll do is we'll undo that. And this time instead we'll use a chamfer. And we just want to pull this out just a little bit. Yeah, something like this. Then let's go back through and we just want to select, well, yeah, what we'll do is we need to do some cleanup first. So what we need to clean up here, where we have these triangulated areas. So unfortunately this is just one of those times when there is no real solution. Let's undo that. We need to keep undoing. Looks like we've missed this right here. Here, right here, here, and here. And does this? No, it doesn't. So we just wanted to make sure that doesn't go all the way back. So let's go ahead and choose chamfer. That's okay. And then we can go back and deal with these triangulated areas. So dealing with these triangles is going to make it easier for us. Okay. So you can see here we have a triangle, but we can't really do anything about that because there is supposed to be a bevel in there, or where the polygons are going to be pushed down. Let's just go around. Let's see. So we can't do anything about that one. So it looks like it's just these areas right here we need to deal with. Here and here, and it looks like, oh, it's like with yeah, so just here. So I had to undo that there because it looks like I welded the wrong area. Okay, so once we have that, let's go ahead and look at our image. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to go ahead. Actually, it's like there's still some areas we didn't fix here. So we've got this part and here, and I guess we got the opposite on the opposite side. Yeah, right here and here. So let's go ahead and select this, choose ring, and we can do that. Let's just go ahead and select everything else by hand. So just selecting this by hand is just going to make sure that we're not going to have any problems, or hopefully not have any problems anyway. So you see, I say hopefully because things like that can still happen. So this is probably one of those occasions where on camera I will probably be a little quiet. Now what I will do is anything I create during these videos, I will try to post them up so you can see them, use them, follow along. If you can follow along with these, if you would like to add on to this project, I guess what I'm doing, then feel free. If I upload the files, if there's things you would like me to implement, or if there's something that you would like to implement yourself from using these files, then you can go ahead and do that too. I'm not too bothered about that. You know, so it's totally to you. Now what I'm going to do with this one, last time we used a turbo smooth. I'm not actually going to do that this time. I'm just going to bake the objects as it is. So we'll just create this sort of low poly version and then bake down the rest. Now I do want to add a bevel here, because if you remember what I was saying last time, that the bevel will still make sure that we capture the light when the rays cast in from above. So I want to make sure we capture that. So you can see that even though we have these panels in it's not turbo smooth, we are going to get this detail into the actual mesh. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at this. We're going to add these dents in here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this polygon right here, 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 and here, and I'm going to go ahead and choose inset. And inset these into, let's see, about here, and we can scale this. So I'm just going to scale this in. So we get something that's around equal. I'm not particularly too interested if it's a little uneven, just as long as it looks right. Once we've done that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to choose to bevel this in, so put this inwards. Now here's what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this edge and this edge, and I'm also going to do the same on the opposite side, but this edge and this one, let's make sure we selected the right one there. Nope, we want this one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull these down even further. This is going to add a little bit of a visual interest here to the overall shape. So you see we get these sort of indentations. Now that does look a little bit too extreme, so let's go ahead and pull these up a little bit. So something along those lines. So that might be fine. Now we can also, if we want, go ahead and double click these and add a chamfer, and that will make sure that we capture any light that hits the edges. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do this. And do the same all the way over here. So you can see that as we chamfer these, just by a little bit, and let's just look at this as we're chamfering them. I think it's a little uneven, and I think that's just most likely because of the way we have transformed a lot of this. So yeah, you can see here it's a little off. So to fix that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and choose reset X forms, reset selected, convert this back to an editable poly. Now hopefully there we go. So now you can see we have a much more even chamfer. And what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to set this to left view. So let's use maybe 2. Pull this in a little bit. I'm gonna go select all. I'm gonna go to auto smooth. There we go. Actually, what we'll do is we'll undo that. So let's undo this. Let's go to chamfer again. We just want to, we'll just set this to be 1. Let's keep clicking this there. Let's see, something around there. Okay. Select everything, and we'll go to clear all. Oops, clear all. There we go. Sorry, clear all. That is. There we go. So that, I think that will be much better. Okay, so we can, if we want, let's go ahead and look at this. So you can see we have these this area right here where we have this sort of vent system, or what looks like to be some sort of ventilation. Okay. Now the way we are going to do that is we're not actually going to model that. We're going to create floating geometry as we did with the screws, and we'll get exactly the same effect. So don't worry about that. And let's see. We could also add these in here on the corners. We'll also add that in as floating geometry and here. And I think that'll be about it. So let's go ahead and let's create those sort of vents system things. I don't really know what they are, but let's pull this up. So what I'm doing is I'm holding the shift key and holding this up, and this will allow me to want to detach this. Like sort of clone this as a mesh. So as an element, I'm going to go to 2 objects, and what that will do is that will separate this, and I'm going to go ahead and reset the hierarchy, and I'm going to go to hide selection, and I'm just going to work on this piece here. So let's see, we have 1, 2, 3 and 4 sections here. So let's go ahead and choose connect, and we want to have 1, 2, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So once we have that, we can select these, delete them, and then we're actually going to go to select all the polygons. And again, we're not going to be turbo smoothing these. We just want to create that detail. So I'm going to go ahead and choose bevel. I'm going to bevel this up a little bit. So the same thing again on the top. And simply by doing that on the top, it just allows us to again capture some light information. Then what we have is we have these areas that go across. So what we're going to do for that is we're going to go ahead, I'm going to create a plane. To, let's see, roughly around the same size here, and we're going to reset the, let's see, yeah, the length. I'm going to increase the width to, let's see, how many do we have here? About 80. Yeah, about 80 is going to be fine. Let's right click this, convert to editable poly. Let's go ahead and select all of these. Now if we look at this, okay, so what instead I'm going to do is I'm going to select these, and we're just going to make this up a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to extrude, and I'm going to set these back down to 0. I'm going to widen the area a little bit and pull these down and press OK. So once we have that, we can go ahead, convert this to an editable poly, and we need to cut off these edges here. So let's see, the best way to do that would be simply, what we'll do is we'll simply just cut all the way along. So I'm going to take from about here, And as I move along here, what I'm doing is I'm pressing the I key. And we can cut all the way over there, and let's go from here. And as I go along, I'm just going to press the I key, which will allow me to pan as I'm using that tool. Okay, so once we've done that, I can go ahead and select these areas and delete them. Remember, this is only supposed to be for the creation of the normal map. And once we've created the normal map, I will probably generate the ambient occlusion the same way I've done before. So once I've done that, what I want to do is I want to take all of these vertexes, and I just want to pull these up a little bit so they are better aligned to our mesh. So, you know, something along these lines. Let's go ahead and do the same here. So I'm going to, well, actually that side looks fine actually. So just this side. Okay, so once we've done that, I'm going to go ahead and attach these two together. I'm going to go to unhide all, and let's look at this. So I'm going to take these two, and I'm just going to hide the rest of these. So I'm going to go to hide selection, and I'm going to take this. Well, take these. Yeah, what I'll do is I'll take this, set this to 0. Yeah, so I'll set this to 0. Do something like this. Set that to 0, and we'll go ahead and use the symmetry. Okay. Now looking at this, it looks like let's just see. Yeah, so it's going to be fine. Okay, so we can take this, and I'm going to pull this down onto the surface, or a little bit closer to the surface, like this. There we go. So that gives us that detail there. It'll show much better in the normal map, so don't worry too much about that. I'm also going to set the wireframe here to black, which just helps me out a little bit better. Okay. So the other thing I wanted to add is the, well, I'm going to leave this section out, this little cutout. It's not going to be noticeable, and on here. However, we will add these little small indentations here. We could go ahead and do the same for what we did here, but instead I'm just going to make this a little easier, and we're going to go ahead and create floating geometry. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's get a plane, set the length and width segments down to 1. Then we can convert this to an editable poly. I'm going to go to insert, do this twice. Then with this one, I'm going to pull this one down. And let me just check something. So when I look at this, so this one looks as if it's a little bit more rounded as opposed to this one. So and the rest of this is pretty rigid. So what I'll do is I'll just add a turbo smooth to this, make this completely sort of smooth, nice and rounded like this. Press M, assign this. There we go. And once we've done that, I'm going to go ahead, duplicate this, like this. Yeah. So I'll duplicate this like so. I'll take both of these, move it forward a little bit. However, what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to rotate this, and I'm going to take this, pull it up, and I'm going to pull this one like so, and I'm just going to remove this turbo smooth just for a brief moment. So I'm going to delete this, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach here to here. Then I'm going to reset the X forms because we probably offset the X form transformation data. Then I'm going to reset this to 0, and I'm going to put this to 0, 0, 0. Just like this, so it's in the center. Well, not exactly in the center, so I'll align this to this plane right here. There we go. So I just press the Control A. Then what we can do is we can go ahead and use a symmetry. Choose flip, and we'll go ahead and choose symmetry again. And I believe I want to go with there we go. So then on top of this, convert. I'm going to paste that turbo smooth on top. Press the M key. Assign this. Set this to be black. And so we get something that looks okay. I do want to modify this though, so let's just press the G to remove the grid. And if I go back down to the base level, add a connect, and I'll set this to 2, and I put this pretty close like so. This will give us a different look at it. Now you can actually see what's going on here. So as we are on the top view, this is how the rays will be cast on this, and so this is all we will capture is just information like this. Same with the top here. Okay, so that's how that works. However, there will be an issue when it comes to baking the ambient occlusion with something like this, and that would be that we would get shadowing information. So this is why we're going to use Endo in order to generate the ambient occlusion based off the normal map we'll create. Okay, so this is the panel here. Let's just check this detail. Yeah, so this will be the overall panel. We are not going to add any more detail to this, but what we are going to do is now we're going to extend this. So we go down here, and then we can add pipes or just some other effect to this. So let's go ahead and look at doing that. Now you can see that we actually have this that comes all the way to the edge, and the way that I'm going to fix that is I'm just going to add a small curve. Okay, so first of all, let's go to the side view. Let's go to left viewport here, and I'm going to go ahead and create a plane. That's about the size we'll want here, maybe a little larger. Okay, let's turn off the snapping. And once we've done that, we can go ahead and actually turn that snapping back on. And we're going to snap this like so. And this one is not exactly perfect, so we need to convert this to an edgeable poly. And we can go ahead and snap that on there. So this is going to be our side panel. Now, what we're going to do is go to the front. So let me just unhide everything for a minute so I can see exactly where everything is. Okay, so we need to bring this round actually. So the easiest way to do that is I'm going to go ahead, choose a line, and I'm going to set this to be the center. Then when we rotate this by 90 degrees, this is on the right plane here. So we turn this off. Okay. So if we go to the left viewport, you can see that there will be this separation, which is not really what I want to do. So to fix that, I'm going to go ahead and create a box. It's just a small box, something like this. and we'll give this 2 by 2 by 2. And let's convert this to an edgebook poly. And what I want to do is I want to delete the inside, just like this. Then I'm going to snap this over here. I'm going to take this and I'm going to extend this all the way out. So let's pull this all the way over here. Snap that over there. Then I'm actually going to pull this out a little bit further. So I'm just going to eyeball this. I'm not particularly too interested in the actual overall shape, just so long as it doesn't make this look too bad. And we could actually duplicate this on the other side over here if we wanted to, so this sort of looks as if it's supposed to be on both sides. But once we've done, yeah, so just looking at that, scale is not really where I want it to be, so I'm going to go with something maybe around half of the overall size here. And somewhere, let's see, around about here. So this side I'm not really too interested if it's a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller, because we are going to have that piping in there. So I'm going to bring this up so it's just a little bit smaller. And once we've done that, I'm going to go ahead and use what's known as a shell, which will add some thickness to this. There we go, and we'll go with, let's see, try about 2, no, maybe something a little less, 1.5 maybe, yeah. So we'll go with 1.5, and we'll take these two because you see it's not exactly straight, and we'll align this. And this one I believe is going to be so if we have a look at this, let's have a look, see, there we go. So we have this nicely lined up. I'm going to double click here. And we're going to go ahead and choose chamfer. So we'll go with 2. And we'll create like a nice smooth edge here, so actually maybe a little bit, maybe a few more, because it's going to be pretty close to the camera. I'm not too bothered if I have this at a slightly higher resolution, so say maybe 6 might be fine. And all I'm going to do now is select the insides of this and delete them. Okay. And I'm actually also going to decrease the overall thickness of this, so it's a little lower. Let's try something along these lines. And we'll also smooth that. There we go. And we'll do what I said we're going to do here. So I'm going to align this to the center. Then I'll go ahead and use a symmetry. And you see that displays that on both of these sides. It's just going to add to the overall shape here. So you see we'll get a nice smooth transition, and we'll be getting ready to create this section here. So this section, as I said, is going to have maybe some sort of piping or something along those lines on the inside to add a bit of visual interest. Okay, so let's look how we're going to do that. So I guess what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert this. So it's about here. And put this in, and we'll extrude this. And we are actually going to extrude this, and we will texture this section. Okay. And we want so what I mean is that we're going to take this area right here, pull this back, and the top area is just going to essentially be a flat polygon, and this will actually be actual geometry or low resolution geometry that we can project and bake the information on. So and the reason for that is that this is going to contain pipes, and as the player is moving along, so you can just imagine that you have your camera here and the player's moving along, and as he does that, this platform is going to slightly move left and right, so we actually need some geometry in here instead of just projecting pipes, pipe geometry inside here. So that's what we're going to do. So the question is, how detailed do we want to go? And so what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to take these areas and I'm going to pull these in, as I want a little bit of thickness to each side here, so when these are connected, it doesn't just look like we have just inserted them and then gone along. So I think what I'm going to have is one main pipe that goes in the center, that is sort of connected to the back here, and then little small pipes in front of that. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's choose a cylinder. So we'll have a main pipe, so something about this size looks to be about right. Now the advantage with this is it doesn't really have to be too specific. Okay, so let's go with maybe 12 on the sides here. And when I say not to be too specific, what I mean is that we can just take this side and push it through to the other. You don't really have to line up. Now you can go ahead and start lining them up if you want to, but I'm not going to do that. So long as your light mapping is fine, then you shouldn't really get too much of an issue. So let's see, I have Google open here, and I was looking at the pipes and the way that these pipes should connect, and we're just going to go with a simple pipe, so something like this. Let me have a quick look. Okay, so if we look at this, we have some sort of sci-fi panels with pipes, solid pipes on the inside here. So what I'm going to go for is, let's check this out. So this looks okay. I don't want to go too complicated, although you can do if you want. So we could implement something like this, but I just want to go with something a little simpler. So you see we have like this sort of style. This is something I'm looking towards here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to convert this to an export poly, and right in the center I'm going to connect, and I'm going to shunt for this. It's about here, and so this pipe geometry is actually going to be in the game here. Okay, well, it depends. Actually, it depends on how detailed we go here. So I'm going to extrude this out, and I want to go by local normals here. So we're extruding this along the local axis. Put this in just a little bit. There we go. Choose extrude and pull this down, and we'll scale this in. So let's go ahead and select all, and we're going to set this to an auto smooth. So we have this cool pipe. Now that alone is not really enough to sell a decent effect. So what we'll have is these smaller pipes that sort of lead into this. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to go ahead and we'll use splines for that actually. So let's go ahead and I'm going to left click, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold the shift key, which will allow me to create a straight line, and we're going to do something like this. So let's go with 2, 3, and we'll go with one more. So we've got 4 here, and let's take these. I'm going to attach these together. So let's go ahead and attach them. So they look to be around the same sort of distance. Again, you can go ahead and be super precise if you want, totally up to you. And I'm just going to line these up roughly. And I want them to be, let's see, approximately the same sort of distance away from each other. Okay, so, right, so they at least half decent. And I'm going to take these vertexes, choose fillet, and go ahead and do something like this. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to rendering, enable in renderer, enable in viewport. You can see that this creates the this basic piping for us, and I can go ahead and increase the size here. So I'm going to go with, let's try 2. So 2 looks to be about fine. Now what we can do at any point is go back and alter the overall shape, but this is going to be fine, I think. So let's pull these forward. Let's go to the left view, see where they are. Here we go. Okay, so let's go to interpolation. Let's bring down these steps a little. So bringing these steps down is going to decrease the resolution. But we don't want to go too low. Maybe 4. And we can bring the sides down to, let's say, about 8. So, I mean, even though this is going to be pretty close geometry, we can still go ahead and optimize this. So let's go ahead and convert this to edgeable poly. And speaking of optimization, let's select them all, with the exception of the centers, and we can delete them. And I'm going to go ahead and just straighten these up a little bit. Completely your choice, up to you, whether or not you want to do that. So let's duplicate these, and I'm going to set this to the press G, and sorry, I'm going to align this to here, and I'm going to go ahead and choose symmetry. There we go. So you can see here that we're building up this sort of pipes, or this piping system. That just gives it a little bit of interest. Okay, and let me look. We can close this image actually, so I just want to look back over here. Let's see. I mean, this, I do like this, so instead, okay, so let's try this. Instead of using one of these pipes, let's go ahead and choose 2. So let's duplicate this, and select this, and put this into the center. Scale this down. And let's do this. Let's have a look, see how this looks. Okay, so this looks better actually, so we can scale this out. And we have excess space here in the back, so we're just going to reduce this. This should help and save at least just a little bit of texture space. Okay. So I mean that looks fine. It's not completely sort of sci-fi-ish like. So what we can do is, let's look at this. Oh well, it looks like we have someone seen here. So that's not really what we want. Okay, I got an idea. Yeah, so if we look here, you can see we have these little circular things, little pressure valves. So we could add one of those if we wanted on the side. But instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the front, take these ones right here, and actually let's convert these to export poly. And I'm going to add a connect right along here. Let's straighten them out. Let's go to vertexes and pull them in. And let's do the same again to connect. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to pull these ones down. So we're just adding a slight difference in variation. So it just looks like they're not completely tiled. And then over here, what we'll do is we'll take these and so if we look where this is, so we're just going to eyeball this a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and choose connect. And let's do this. And what we're going to do here is actually pull this back up. And so what that gives us is that when this is tiled, it just looks like as if this drops down and then it's probably coming back up. And it just gives it a little bit of variation. And speaking of variation, we'll attach these two pipes right here. And I'm going to take this, I'm going to choose ring. I'm going to grow this twice. And we'll offset this over here. And we can do the same with this. So I'm going to go to ring, convert that. Let's pull this out over here. So this just gives a slight difference. It just makes sure that it doesn't look as if we just simply copy and pasted elements around. Okay, and let's just see where we are. So we're on 54 minutes. So I think what I'm going to do is at this point I think I'm actually going to pause this video, and in the next video we'll probably pick up with some more modeling. And then we'll get on to doing some texturing. So I'd like to thank you for watching. Hopefully these videos are useful. If you like them, please leave a comment. Tell me what you would like to see implemented into these videos or sections. And yeah, hopefully you can hopefully you'll find these videos useful, as I said. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.